I love the art of Kintsugi, right? Where it's like something's broken and then it's put back together with gold, right? And then it's even stronger. And I think that's a better representation of the human spirit. Things are going to break. We're not built to be indestructible. Like we're actually not gods. Maybe we have a piece of the divine, but like we're going to crack at some point. And it's like, are you going to put things back together and become even stronger and more beautiful from that breakage? Or are you just going to let it go to pieces?
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephen Wakabayashi, and you're listening to Yellow Glitter, perspectives from queer Asian creatives and changemakers making an impact. This episode, we're joined by our favorite guest, Mike Curato, who's joining us again, showcasing his upcoming book launch.
Hi, I'm back.
We're so excited to have you. And for the audience, Mike is an author, illustrator, books for children, teens, and adults. He is best known for his Little Elliot picture book series and his young adult graphic novel, Flamer, which was released to critical acclaim and received several honors, including the 2020 Lambda Literary Award for LGBTQ Young Adult, the 2021 Massachusetts Book Award for Young Adult, and was listed as one of NPR's best books of 2020. Flamer also has the distinction of being one of the most banned and challenged books in the United States, and Mike has become a fierce advocate of free speech. Gaysians is his adult graphic novel debut, in which we're going to talk a little bit more about today.
Yes, let's get it.
Yes. So last time we talked was almost a year ago when you were in the thick of it with this book. You were going through many rounds of edits and revisions. And how does it feel now to be on the other end of it?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I got my social life back kind of. So that was welcome. I mean, I was going through revisions, but like going through it in general, like trying to finish this thing. I mean, I was pulling, like double, triple shift, on the daily for an unhealthy amount of time. So I think it paid off.
What was causing all that time and all that rumination?
Yeah, I mean, this book has taken me a few years to make. I wrote it several years ago and then sold it. And there was a lot of, stop and go working on other projects. But it's just so detailed. Like the art is so detailed and so condensed, like Flamer, maybe you get like 3 or 4 panels on a page. This is like a larger page size and like, maybe you've got 8 panels on a page, and these characters are maybe more realistically rendered than Flamer, which kind of leans more cartoony, because I wanted them to look like real people and to like really look like the people who they are representing. #Asian representation. So
yes,
that was the goal. And so it just took a very long time to illustrate.
Yeah. And for the audience, do you want to share a little bit about what is the book? What is it about?
Yes, totally. So the book is about 4 friends who live in Seattle in 2003. And one of them has just moved out there and is a little gaby, early 20s, a little AJ, and he doesn't know his ass from his elbow and has come out fairly recently. And these 3 Gaysians take him under their wing. And it's a book about chosen family. They have their own little group. They call themselves the Boy Luck Club, and I think it's important to center gay Asian stories because it's not something we see, I mean, hardly at all. Right.
Yeah.
And to feature like an all Gaysian cast
Big
characters.
deal.
Yeah, and to show like we're not a monolith, like we're often stereotyped. And, I kind of used some of those stereotypes as like an opener, maybe, and then really tried to flesh out real human beings. These are really individual people who I think of them as my own friends. And they are partially based on my own friends. I came out when I was like, oh my God, I don't know, 21, 22. And then I graduated college and I moved to Seattle. The same thing happened to me. Like a bunch of people took me under their wing, and meeting other gay Asian people for the first time and making friends with them. It was like I was being fully seen in a three-dimensional way for the first time in my life. And there was a lot of shortcuts to understanding each other, right? I didn't have to explain certain things to them. Like they just got it right away.
Yeah.
And so this group of friends, they're just trying to do their best in an imperfect world who doesn't see them. But the important thing is that they see each other and support each other. And even that can be a struggle, right? I mean, they ultimately come up against some major challenges in their relationships. And it's kind of up to them, right, to hold on to this family that they've created. And those are all very real things that I know I've experienced and others have experienced. So, and, I like to think yes, there's drama, there's comedy, there's sex, there's drag.
Yeah.
She has it all.
So you mentioned it's taken a while to write, get out there. This has been a thought of a project that you had quite some time ago. And as a part of this process, and even the editing process, like you mentioned, it was just a lot of work with the details, with the art, and this is another evolution of your work. But I just want to go into a little bit more of specifically around the process. How did it feel like being so personal with your life and to unveil a part that, one, I haven't personally seen a diaspora of queer Asian folks and a whole graphic novel centered around them here published in America. But specifically for yourself in this process, what are some things you learned along the way while creating this?
Yeah, I mean, I try to write stories that I wish I could read. You know what I mean? Like there are books that I want to read that aren't made yet. So sometimes I just have to make them. So that's definitely what this is for me. And yeah, it is very personal. I think, there's one character that's very much based on me, but I really identify with all of the main characters in the story. I feel like each character represents a different stage of growth that I've gone through, a different time of my life. Let's see, things that I learned. I mean, something that someone told me when I was actually just graduating college that has really rung true for me is that we live multiple lives, in this one lifetime. And one of the characters, Kay, actually, she says we die and are reborn many times in our heart throughout our lives. And I think that's so true, right? So yeah, I feel like each of these characters, maybe I didn't think of it when I was writing, but I came to realize like, oh, these really represent myself in different parts of my life. And they're also like mixed, they're amalgamations of different friends, different people who've entered my life. So yeah, a little bit of them, a little bit of me. So some other inspirations, just for this to make sense, aside from my friend group that I made in Seattle, I really felt the lack of that community later when I left Seattle and like my little Gaysian family had kind of like moved to different places. And I actually realized like, oh my God, that was a really special time in my life. And like, while I have a lot of queer community, I have some Gaysian friends here and there, but it was just really special. And also, I mentioned they call themselves the Boy Luck Club. Like I'm a huge Joy Luck Club fan. And I think as a gay Asian, that was definitely a movie I was so fixated on. Even though it doesn't
Mm.
feature gay characters, I think oftentimes like gay boys really, look up to female heroines, right?
Fabulous female heroines. Yeah.
Yes, like some strong divas. And I was
Yeah.
obsessed. So it's like, oh, I've got these like incredible Asian divas. And, I'm Filipino, but like it didn't matter. Like I would just anything that was Asian that I could like glom onto. I'm like, oh my God, I relate to these women, even though it's not my culture, but it is.
Yeah.
And it's not my gender, but I get it. So that was kind of an original structure for the story. It was like
Mm.
kind of dissecting how Amy Tan wrote the Joy Luck Club. And then, I kind of did my own thing with it. But all of these characters, their lives are all intertwined.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how she weaves those stories together. And I mean, that's just how it is, right? Like
Yeah.
our decisions really affect each other.
Yeah. What was that process like for you? How did you bring about your personal experiences, your backgrounds, and put it to this project? Because for your whole repertoire, I would say maybe this is the most personal project yet, right?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, Flamer got pretty personal.
Yeah.
Talking about teenage suicidal ideation, pretty personal.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to think of Gaysians as like a continuation of that very personal storytelling. And, this is adult, right? So I felt very liberated to say what I had to say in a very non-filtered way. Not that I hold back that much in Flamer, but it's definitely written for a younger age group. And, I had a lot of fun. Like I had a lot of fun writing it.
Yeah.
And I felt it. I mean, there were times I'd be writing a scene and I would be crying writing the scene.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
it's just very visceral for me. Like the joy and the sadness and the struggle.
Yeah.
It's all real. And I should also mention, I had the help of my community. I interviewed, a bunch of gay Asian folks. Some I know, some I don't, but were like referred to me. I talked to you, of course, and some of your guests on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And I found some common themes. I also found some unique stories. And I think it's all valid, right? And it all needs to be written down.
Yeah. And was there, as you were going through it, you were talking, some parts of the book evoked a lot of emotions, tears, and just really deep, raw feelings. Without sharing too much, is there any part that you want to maybe share with listeners of just what was a moment when you were going through it, writing it, creating it, that seemed to also evoke a ton of feelings and emotions for you?
There were a few bangers emotionally. Okay, I'll say I kind of have a favorite character.
Mm-hmm.
Her name is Kay. She's a trans woman. She's a dragtivist, as she calls herself. She's based on several really strong trans women who I know. And she really rises above so much shit that's thrown at her. And there's this part of the book where, suddenly all of her power is kind of stripped away and she is trapped. And the way that she overcomes it, I don't want to give away too much, but there is this very pivotal moment where she breaks through and like takes back her power. I'm getting like goosebumps thinking about it.
I'm getting goosebumps too. Yeah.
Like that's definitely like when I sobbed the most writing it, when she rises above, she transcends everything that's happened to her. And she's like, I'm here and I'm taking up space and I am unapologetically myself. And I've got people, who are going to support me.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very emotional for me. And, again, I'll own like I'm not trans, but like just listening to, my sister's stories I'm just so in awe of them and inspired by them. And so, I really hope that they feel like they're getting their flowers from Kay's arc.
Yeah.
I think all four of them really have some, their own redemption arc in the book. And I think for most of the characters, there's this insecurity that they have to overcome. The gay men in this book, like they all have to overcome this like hurdle of not feeling seen, understood, like they're enough. And they all deal with that in different ways, in different, perhaps unhealthy ways, and are maybe reading each other for the ways they're dealing with it. But ultimately, they figure out like we need each other to like pull each other through the muck.
Yeah.
And there is a redemption moment that one of the characters, whose name is Steven, it's not you, but I just like the name.
It's a good name.
It's a great name, but he has this reconciliation moment, and the specific way in which she asks someone for forgiveness also made me sob. And like I've heard from a few early readers, and that's also a moment where they like, oh, I lost it.
Yeah.
And in that moment, it's also a cultural reference, right? Stephen is Vietnamese, and he performs a service that like is very specifically like a Vietnamese custom of honoring someone, right? I'm trying not to be too specific. And just, to fill people in, like, yes, Stephen is Vietnamese. Kay is, he's a Vietnamese immigrant. So he moved to the States when he was a child. So he sounds American, but has deep Vietnamese roots. Kay is third generation Japanese American. And she had a very strong relationship with her grandmother, her Oba-chan, who lived through the internment. There's John, who is Korean American and is an adoptee from Korea. So is only known his American life. And he is a child of a mixed race couple, but neither of who are Asian. So, which is a story I hear a lot about as well. And AJ, much like me, is Filipino, white, mixed. So first generation, right, on one side. Yeah, so just to give some context. And then there are some other characters, of different Asian descent. There are two supporting characters who are both Chinese, but one's Mandarin speaker, one's Cantonese speaker.
Yeah.
There's an Indonesian character who's hilarious.
Yeah.
I think I was trying to fill the clown car too much at some point. So not everyone's represented in this book, but I really just wanted to focus on making real characters, and represent where I can.
Yeah. I think even with what you shared with some of the characters and how you have such a breadth of diversity, I think it goes to show that you have tried to pull through so many different lived experiences into this book. And when you're talking about the whole portion around the Asian ego just earlier and this turnaround moment, I felt it viscerally, where there is also this cultural pride and this cultural norm that we live here in America as Asian folks, as sometimes third space kids, right? Not of here or there. And
right.
I think it just has so many layers of it. And I'm just curious, and just speaking to our community folks, our queer Asian community listeners, in terms of specifically in writing this, even for yourself, what was really important to get off your chest, or what felt really good to just finally get off your chest in terms of finalizing this book and putting together some of these story arcs?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely get into, American gay culture, gay with capital G, right? And the complexities of like how people who are your like fellow oppressed people can still be oppressing you,
Oh,
which I
yes,
think is
that's
like
deep.
a
Yeah.
very common experience for gay people of color, for trans people of color. I mean, yeah, just, when you've got more layers, there's always going to be some challenges there, right?
Yeah.
And that intertwined with trying to date, say, I mean, that's a minefield. All right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of experiences that I've had, like from dating, that I got to air some grievances. It felt very good. So the people who
Yeah.
blocked me on Grindr for calling out their bullshit can read
Yeah.
what they would have read
Yeah.
had they not blocked me. So that's in there.
Good.
There's also, like AJ and John have a whole conversation about like imposter syndrome, right? Like not feeling Asian enough at times. I feel very self-conscious sometimes because my father didn't teach me his language. And I definitely embrace my Filipino culture and I'm still learning about it. And I grew up with some of it, but I didn't have the sort of full immersion that maybe other kids had growing up. And so I always feel a little like, can I come to the barbecue? Like,
Yeah. The need to censor yourself and the need to kind of reflect on yourself all the time.
Yeah.
And doubt yourself, question yourself.
And just, I do include a lot of just microaggressions that we experience on the daily and how those little tiny things really
add up.
They add up and then they kind of make you go crazy. And there's, there are a few scenes where like, there are definitely a lot of scenes of eating, right? I mean, that's what we do. And there's like a lot of different Asian foods featured in this book. Let me tell you, it was really fun doing the research because, I had to eat it to get into it. Okay. But there's also like moments when they're talking about their lived experiences in a sort of casual way, but like they get kind of really into it and just talking about how that's our normal, right? And like one of the characters is like, oh my God, I'm so tired of like talking about this. Like, I feel like we talk about how we're Asian and gay all the time. And like, why do we have to talk about this all the time? And like other characters being like, because we can't talk about it with anyone else. And if we don't talk about it all, we're going to lose our minds, So it's like trying to find this balance, right? I feel like this is a common thread that I feel and like people I talk to have felt of like, it's like an ever-present dissecting of experience that can really wear you out.
So needed. It's almost like...
It's needed. It's needed.
Yeah. This duality.
Yes, duality. And the really healing part of it, I think, is when we are able to together laugh about it.
Yes.
There's a lot of that in the book. And that is like very healing to me to like find these moments of joy in which we're like, this is a crazy situation that we're living through. And LOL.
Yeah.
So glad you're seeing this, like, it's like that moment, I don't know, for New York City listeners, like I used to live in New York and there's always a moment on the subway where some crazy shit's happening. And you have to look at a stranger and be like, you're seeing this, right? Like, this is actually occurring.
Yeah.
This hazmat situation that's unfolding. Yeah. So I feel like there's a lot of that featured.
Craziest scene in New York subway for you?
Oh my God. My craziest subway moment? I mean, wow. There are categories, right?
Yeah.
This one isn't so gross, but just the funniest one that pops right into my mind is like, it's winter. It was very packed subway car, rush hour, whatever. And this old lady like is like squeezing her way into the car and just literally sits on my lap. Like it's riding the subway in my lap. And I was just so shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have gotten up for her, but like, and just my jaw dropped and I like turned to this woman next to me and her jaw dropped and we're looking at each other. we're both like, "This is happening." And yeah, she rode my lap for one express stop.
Oh no.
She seemed, you know, clean. So
Yeah.
that was a blessing.
Yeah. I feel like there's always something happening to a point where you're sometimes like so numb to it. You're like, okay, well, we've seen it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think recently, you know what?
Mm.
I was in a subway car where they had a whole magic show once.
Ooh.
Ooh, that was fun. Yeah. They had a whole shopping
Did
cart.
they make the smell disappear? Yes.
And they had animals popping out of left and right.
Oh my
And
God.
people were like,
Animals.
yeah.
Oh no.
It was a shopping cart, and everyone thought this person was just homeless, and they're like, whatever, give him space. And he just started busting with magic tricks.
Okay.
I was like, yes, entertaining. Yeah. I feel like that's what humanizes us. And I think you do so beautifully in your book.
Mhm.
And I think this is where also the joy piece goes into it, right? Of this ability to be in the problem, but finally take a step back and then to be able to reflect and to laugh at it. I feel like is this big culminated journey towards the end, and this beauty of joy as relinquishing, as also this release
Mm.
of all this tension and all this stuff that we've been carrying, I think is such a beautiful part of, to your point, expression. And I think it's so important, especially in this day and age where beyond the confines of, necessarily microaggressions for queer Asian community, but for the larger world, even like what is happening right now, right? But I feel that this is so much more needed as a reminder more than ever now of this joy, of this release, of this reminder that we are human, that there is maybe another side of this, that we're just going through it, and that this joy is also something that we all share, that we all understand, that we all experience,
Yeah.
that bring us also together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I feel like, you're right when you're able to release, right? We address it, we can let it go. And like when we strip everything away, we're just people, right? And I think that's the biggest piece that we struggle with is like asking everyone else, like, can you just look at me like another person and allow me to be weird and imperfect and have feelings and
and that we're all deserving of joy.
Yeah. I know you and I have talked a lot about like joy as liberation, right? Joy as healing and
joy as community.
Yeah, we need that. We need hope, right? We need laughter and we need sex and we need good food and we need, like so many things to keep us going here because
it's tough times.
It's real right now. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's but something about joy is so the thing that's so beautiful about it is there's a lightness around it, right? There's a lightness around it. There's a simplicity to it, right? Which I think is so important because I think we're sometimes so theoretical with what we're trying to do in this world, right? Whether it's when it's implementing policy or debating certain things with one another, that we try so hard getting into the head and imagining as if us being in our heads is somehow going to be liberatory, being, so revolutionary for everyone. But the beautiful part I find about joy is how simple it is to just sit with, It doesn't necessarily mean that joy is necessarily accepting everything, but it's almost this lightness, this feeling of lightness that we allow to wash ourselves with in being present in the moment, and I think the challenge is, it's not necessarily saying this is exactly the solution. This is exactly, everything's perfect by any means, but it is allowing ourselves to breathe, allowing ourselves to be present, allowing ourselves to slow down. Joy is also not efficient by any means, right? In the context of like work and all this stuff. And there's something about it that I think is so beautiful. And it's so fascinating. I forget what I was listening to, if it was a YouTube video or something like a TikTok, but it was just talking about this beauty of animals, dogs, for example, and that dogs also express joy, and that joy is such an innate part of, right? Animals in the ocean play around and create space to play and to create space to enjoy. And if so many creatures are doing so, that there must be innately a value to it, intrinsic to so many of us. And I think in this world that's so focused on like efficiency, productivity, output, capital, you name it, joy is almost this like counter argument against it, right? That to me, it feels so liberatory in itself.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, question for you is like, what is joy to you?
Ooh, joy to me, I think is, it can be a lot of things, but I think acceptance can be really joyful. Like just being like, okay, this is not perfect, and that's okay. And I'm going to be happy about it. Like I'm going to be proud of trying my best, even if it's not exactly perfect or what I hoped it would be. And I think I feel that way about this book, right? Where it's like, it's not perfect, but I hope I did my very best, right? And are there things that would change? Yeah, but it's okay,
Yeah.
And I hope that translates, and I hope people find joy in it.
Yeah. I think that's a challenge of being a creative, right? Where you keep dissecting, you dissect your work. And the process is enjoyable, but there is this interesting nature where it's like this tale of, I'm trying to figure out how to draw the analogy to it. I was thinking Narcissus, right? The Greek god who was just like staring into this like reflection and all this stuff. That it starts to become this, narcissism isn't necessarily the right word. It's a little bit to that degree. Obsession, overindulgence, right? Within the craft.
Right.
That it almost starts to become like this cyclical thing that we almost, to your point, have to figure out, just when to leave it, when to put it down, and being open to just accepting the output. I think, looking at your whole repertoire of everything, I feel like you put your heart and soul on every project you do. Everything is also so polished. But as a part of it, in context to perfectionism and all of this, has this book taught you anything about yourself?
Yeah, I have tried for a very long time to accept that I'm not perfect.
Yeah.
And that can be hard. And I think, I do put a lot of my heart into my work, my very big Pisces heart. But things that I've learned from this book, I think I'll share a little bit of like something that I shared in the afterword, right? Which is some people are going to read this book and feel like, oh my God, you slayed, you got it. This is totally the experience. And some people are going to read this and be like, no, that's not me. That's not who I am. Like, and they're both right. They're both right. And it's both valid. And so this book, has taught me to let go of a lot of things.
Mm.
I think in healthy ways. Like I journal every night. I write down all, things happen in the day, but my feelings especially. And I feel like it helps me sleep better. Like it's like a mini dose of letting go of like, you wrote it down. There's nothing you can do about anything.
Yeah.
Now it's time for bed. And I feel like
Yeah.
this is the macro version of that, where it's like,
Yeah.
I'm not saying I'm over everything that I wrote about, but I put it down, and it's like, yep, there it is. Maybe someone's got some ideas, to help me out, help
Yeah.
each other out. So there's maybe letting go of some of the trauma that I've experienced in my life. And I think the book ends on a hopeful note of reaching for the future, right? Which is something that I'm still learning how to do. I have a very hard time letting things go, like from my past. And so I feel like the book really promotes leaning into something new, whether that's chosen family, whether that's trying something in a different way, or letting someone else carry you for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we all need that to be able to say, I mean, you were talking about Asian pride before, and like,
Mm-hmm.
I do think we have a lot of pride and it's incredible, but also I feel like there's an Asian experience of like, I cannot show weakness. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot be a burden. I can never ask for things that I
Mm-hmm.
need. I have to suffer in silence and figure
Mm.
it out and be a good insert the blank,
Yeah.
be a good child, partner, employee,
Friend.
friend,
Yeah.
student, you name it. It's like, okay, excel, right? And that's how you'll be fulfilled in that. And that will fulfill your duty and commitment to
Yeah.
your community.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, family is very important, right? In Asian culture.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the characters in this book have been disinherited from their families and have created this family. And I'm kind of like on a tangent now, but like,
No, keep going.
yeah, but I think they all in their way experience some form of that, right? I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I have to be strong and I can't crack or it's all going to come down. And it does, like, it does fall apart for them because they're not all coming to each other their 100% authentic selves. And that's the miss, right? That's the swing and the miss. And then things fall apart. And the only way they're going to be able to come together is to like,
Yeah.
this is who I really am. And I'm flawed and I need your help. Like, that's the only way we're going to make it is if we really rely on each other and own
Yeah.
who we are in like 3-dimensional way and not who we pretend to be. So bringing your authentic game,
Yeah.
I think, is so key to really moving forward.
Yeah. What I'd love to know, and also for listeners, what are some ways that you've been able to be more authentic, show up more authentically, or even to your point, stop this loop, this perfectionist loop, this cycle of suffering alone? Is there anything that you've done, reflected on, or ways that you've been able to stop that process from just keep happening again and just showing up, to your point, authentic?
Yeah, I'm starting to be better about voicing when I'm not happy about something.
I love
I
that.
think there's a lot of like swallowing the bitterness. What I didn't like that, but I'm gonna,
Yeah.
okay, I'm just gonna like move on. And it's like, well, actually, we need to talk about that, And I think I have a fear sometimes of like, if I talk about something I'm not happy about, maybe someone else is not going to like that. And then they're going to distance themselves from me. Or like maybe they're not going to understand and they're going to get their feelings hurt. And I don't want to hurt their feelings. So I'm not going to say anything. And, those are real feelings and we just got to do the work, right? It's like, it's going to be a little messy maybe, but it's not going to get better by not addressing it.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be better about that.
Yeah, that it brings up for me, there are so many words also in different Asian languages that, to your point, swallowing the bitterness, right?
Yes.
Gaman in Japanese is all about like this tenseness you hold through difficult situations, right? They have another word is similar in Korean. Han is this like spirit, this indestructible spirit in the face of adversity, but also those are learned behaviors to children. Get through it, right? Thicken up. That I don't think in English there's such a word similar akin to it, but in Asian languages, right? Whenever these words are spoken, gaman, like all these kids understand, okay, time to toughen up, put your shield on, get through it. That, to your point, I think becomes such an ingrained part of why it's so hard sometimes just to let go, be authentic, to your point, be messy, or even to show discontent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think it's so interesting how, yes, some cultures have like a word to describe it. And I mean, since you brought up the Japanese word, I mean, something I like to think about is more like the Japanese concept of Zen, right? And like, I love the art of Kintsugi, right? Where it's like something's broken.
Oh, yeah.
And then it's put back together with like golds, right? And then it's even stronger. And I think that's a better representation of the human spirit, right? Where it's like, things are going to break.
Yeah.
We're not built to be indestructible. Like, we're actually not gods. Maybe we have a piece of the divine, but like, we're going to crack at some point. And it's like, are you going to put things back together and become even stronger and more beautiful from that breakage?
Yeah.
Or are you just going to let it go to pieces? I think that's what we're all asked to do, I think.
Yeah. We're finding the beauty in the mess, the beauty in the fractures.
In the imperfections. Right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's such a beautiful art because there's something to it that's just so organic, right? The whole concept of you have this thing break and you bring it together, but even the fractures and the fissures, right? That if you're just brushing on the gold foil, you can't recreate that, even if you tried.
Yeah.
And this beauty of it is, I think, is just something so, I think it's very cathartic. And to your point, I think the analogy I heard was also our hearts break so it can grow bigger.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this notion of breaking is so instrumental as a part of life, lived experiences, nature, the cycle of death, rebirth.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think overall, just taking a step back, I think just seeing from my perspective as a friend, as a peer, and seeing you work on this project so tirelessly and just pouring your heart and soul. One, I think readers or listeners are in for a treat when they get a hold of the book and take a peek and take a listen with their eyes and their heart and soul of the pages, and just seeing what you've poured into it, the countless hours, not only research and also other experiences, but just diving into this place that, at one point we're going through microaggressions, thousands of paper cuts, this pain, and you've somehow created this beautiful manifestation, this story, intertwining all these characters in such a beautiful way. And I'm so appreciative, one, but also two, just so happy for you to be able to put this out into the world. And I think it's just also so beautiful now. We have the tools to then, for the next generation of all these other queer Asians, Gaysians, have then this legacy and all these shared experiences to build off of and to not feel alone as a part of their experiences.
Yeah. Yeah. And I say it in the afterward, like, we just need more, like I want this to inspire people to write their own stories and experiences,
Yeah.
because we just can't be condensed into one book.
Yeah.
That's not enough. So yeah, I hope people take the baton and run further with it.
Yes. Yes. And as we're starting to get towards the end of the podcast, a few quick questions for you. What is one thing you want listeners to be taking away from this episode?
We talked about joy a lot, and I think that's a good one. I love having, or love is kind of let's use a different word. I need there to be something on my calendar to look forward to. A friend said this to me like years and years ago, and I have held on to it. Like, it's really important, I think, to have some kind of light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
Thing, whether it's like a small treat or like a big trip or something.
Yeah.
So that, and and we talked a lot about chosen family. I think it is important now more than ever in our lives that we are showing up for each other. I think activism can have many faces, and one of them is just taking care of the people in your community and your life and holding down your corner of the world. And not just simple as like, oh, my friend is sick, I'm going to start a meal train for them. Or my friend lost her job, I'm going to like help them network. Just seemingly small things like this can really make a difference in someone's life. And when you're helping even one person, you're helping your community. So yeah.
The value of communal care.
Yeah, totally. Mutual aid. We need to lean into that.
Yeah. And what other projects do you have coming up? Anything you're able to share?
Yeah, I am working on a middle grade graphic novel, which is called Pals. And it's about two friends who are pen pals. And it's inspired by my friendship with my best friend, Laura. We became pen pals when I think I was maybe in 6th grade and she was in 7th grade, something like that. And we really saw each other through some middle school horrors, I think it's a very sweet book. And it was just so important to have that like person in my life who was like third party, right? This is like pre-therapy, right? It's just someone that I could write a letter to. This is like the 90s too. So I'm like writing this girl like gel pen on paper,
Yes, gel pen.
Hello, how are you?
The Sakura pens, yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. I love a fancy pen. And we would write each other letters of support and like complain about things because it's like, oh, this person doesn't know anyone in my life, so I can say whatever I want, and that was like such a huge relief. And we were pen pals like through our entire adolescence, and to becoming adults. And now we just talk on the phone. Every now and then we'll send each other a little letter. But anyway, yeah, it's just a beautiful story of like two best friends who come from very different backgrounds, writing each other, saving each other through pen and paper. So I'm wrapping up the illustrations for that.
Ooh, that's so exciting.
Yes. And I co-authored this. I don't know if I mentioned that. I co-authored it with and Laura Robbins. Laura is the person who I dedicated Flamer to.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's my real life Violet. So yeah, stay tuned that it comes out next year. Still working on the art.
Exciting.
Yeah.
That's so special. And I feel like in this day and age when so much of writing is just AI driven and
Oh
generated and all
Lord.
this stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like the notion of this exchange, this beautiful back and forth. When I was in middle school, I don't know if you had this, but we had notebooks that we passed around
Mm.
and back and forth between you and your friend, and each friend had a notebook. So throughout the year, I would have like 4 or 5 notebooks in circulation back and forth. And my friends and I would basically write or even draw, and we basically traded it back and forth. And it was this process of sometimes it was a poem, sometimes it was drawing, sometimes it's just like a long rant about someone else or the world.
Yes.
And it's just this beautiful notion of just like anything goes, and just putting out whatever's in your heart, mind, and soul.
Mm.
And it didn't have to be so perfect, so all this stuff, you know.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Do you still have them?
I have them like in my like mom's
Yeah.
attic back in LA.
We need to find those.
Oh yeah, it's like
You know?
pages and pages. I was like, I had way too much time.
You had some things to say.
Yeah, I had some things to say, and then that was way before like Blogspot came out or in Zanga, and then when Zanga came out, then we all shifted to just doing like personal blogs. But
I was gonna
way
say,
before.
those notebooks are your original podcast. You know,
Oh
it's
yeah,
just the written pod.
yeah, yeah. But it was so creative. You know, it was like we would meet up, and in passing in school, you'd only have a little bit of time. You couldn't write in it during class. But then you switch the notebook. Sometimes people are writing it during class, and then it just looks like you're taking notes. And after the class, you just like
Nice.
hand it, trade it off. And it became this thing where it's just like over time. And then it was just a set of, you and a friend would have a notebook, but they would also have a notebook between a few of their friends. And it was just like this whole circulation of, and it was the very simple spiral notebooks with like maybe like 100 pages or something, very thin,
Mm,
but it was that, anything goes, free for all. You could use a pen, you could use a Sharpie.
love it. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just the power of pen pals. I'm just curious, where did you first connect, and what connected you into pen paling?
We met at a summer camp. It was actually a Christian summer camp.
Oh,
Even though I was raised Catholic, but like we would go visit friends.
that's a lot more to unpack on the.
There, it has layers. My family would go visit friends in Pennsylvania, and then
Yeah.
they all would just like drop all of us kids off at this camp, and they would have time to hang out. And so we met in line at the trading post, and like the connection was just.
And how old were you at the time?
I mean, I think I was like 12. Maybe she was 13,
Yeah.
So I feel like we bonded over candy, which tracks, right? I mean,
Yeah.
my sweet tooth is what leads me through this world. And we would just laugh, right? And there was like a counselor that we were kind of friends with also. So like the three of us
Yeah.
had this little like geeky clique, I guess. And we were just always clowning around. And
Yeah.
we traded information. And then I got a letter in the mail, and I was like, oh, fun,
That's
and we
beautiful. Yeah.
just kept going. I mean, there are hundreds of letters.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And we would draw each other things. We would like cut out like comic strips to mail to each other.
Yeah.
And then we got into like recording cassette tapes for each other. So, and it wasn't just like it was kind of a mix, right? Like we record
cool.
music, but we'd also like, we would read to each other from books. We would read each other's letters, like, oh, look, best of, like the hits, right? We would write our own spoof songs and like sing spoof songs to each other. Yeah, it was like a whole.
I hope you've saved those. Yeah.
I think I have some, but as cassettes get so warped over time, I think I have a few, but I don't know if all of them made it. Yeah, but yeah, I should unearth those, and I feel like I tried to listen when I was writing the script.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Favorite candy?
Ooh. I mean,
What's favorite lately?
arguably, yeah, I'm like, as a kid, my palate has changed. Like, I could like house a box of nerds as a kid, and like now I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a chocolate fiend, so like almost anything chocolate, I'm with you.
Mm.
So just like a nice, rich, dark bar of chocolate,
Yeah.
or if you like get some of those like Asian treats from the market, like oh my god, what are those like the little like mushrooms, like
Oh yeah. 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 With the little animals on it.
yeah, with like a little wafer,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. Those are I have to eat the whole box, right? You can't
Yeah.
stop eating those. A chocolate covered gummy, I'm not mad about.
Yeah. My partner and I were recently in Japan, and Japanese candies, another tier, another level. And they had all these gummies that had different textures on it. And so they had ones that were like almost like a crinkly texture.
Okay.
And it wasn't like sour powder that you'd normally have in the States, but they had one that was like a crinkly texture, another one that would have a much smoother texture, but it was more like gummy, but it's like taffy gummy. And it was all about the mouthfeel.
Oh, sure.
And there were all different types of gummies. And I was just like, this is like phenomenal.
I'm imagining like the tripe of
Mhm.
gummies, the sort of mouthfeel we're talking about here, like
Yeah.
like weird crevices and stuff. Okay, wow, all right,
Down to a science. The Japanese people are just
of
like,
course, yeah, very detailed. Yes,
yes. But that is really good. Yeah. And I think lately I've been really obsessed with my partner loves to get the Trader Joe super sour gummies. Yeah, the super sour Scandinavian swimmers. And just literally a bag lasts like 30 minutes.
that's something my partner would be into. They would be all over that.
Yeah.
Any kind of like sour gummy thing. Oh yeah.
And literally, it's just like we open the bag like after the grocery store, and then half of it's gone on the train ride. Yeah.
Bye.
And then
Yeah.
we'll start cooking a meal, and then another quarter's gone. And then by the time we start eating dinner, I don't know what happened.
Oh no.
But there's also so funny. It's like a whole subset of the internet, but they have like 5 flavors in it. And people have broken down each bag, and they're like, why is there only 5 raspberries and like 30, 50 of these like red stars? And all these people in like the Trader Joe's subreddit just open up the bag and just do a layout of it.
Love that.
And they're like, this is an awful conspiracy.
I love that. That's the kind of like twisted thing that I am here for. You know what I mean? Where it's like, I demand equity in my candy bag.
Yeah, with your gummies. Yeah.
My palate deserves to have a leveled experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
what if you open a bag of Skittles and you only like,
That's right.
what if there were only like 10 red and like, and you had like 30 lemons?
Yeah.
Like, that's not right. That's not
Or
right.
like one pink starburst, and then the rest were like, lime. Oh,
That's rude.
or orange. Yeah.
That's rude.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Okay. And then last question, or actually last 2 questions.
Yeah.
Is there something that's bringing you joy lately?
I mean, I love cooking.
Mhm.
Maybe I don't remember how I answered this on the other episodes, but like just having the time to like cook real meals again feels good. And I've been trying, actually didn't cook last week because I was traveling. So now I'm like trying to reach back, but I've got some bangers that I like. And then I like to like try to make something new every now and then.
Best dish so far, or like what's the dish of the season?
Ooh, the plat du jour, or I don't know how to say it in French, but what was amazing? I did this sort of like miso salmon and green bean like sheet pan meal. I love a sheet pan bake, where it's like We're just here for the flavor and the roasting. Like,
efficient too.
Yeah. Cause it's like, I mean, I want to cook. And also it's like, I mean, a girl's got stuff to do. So I can't just I can't be cooking like half the day. But every now and then I will go all in. Like I did spend like an entire day making massaman curry from scratch. And
wow,
when that happens, I mean, it is, I want to cry, like I was able to spend a very long time in Thailand 2 years ago. And I took a cooking class like on the side and like the massaman curry, it was like, I was like, I can't believe I made this. So like, that's my go-to thing to make from there. Yeah.
It's there's something in the sweetness, the creaminess, the tenderness, the meatiness. It just heals you.
Everything. It's everything. That cassia lime.
Yeah. And then a little bit sour. Yep.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Just everything.
And then sometimes they put the tamarind it's like tamarind a little bit. Yeah.
Tamarind concentrate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Necessary.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'm so
you gotta
hungry.
go cook now. Yeah.
Yes. And then, how can people find you if they want to learn more about your work?
Yeah.
Where are you at nowadays?
I'm still on the gram. I'm still on Instagram at Mike _Curato. I don't know why I had to make life so hard for myself, but Mike _Curato. That's like the long line, I'm usually on there. Sometimes I'm on TikTok at Mike Curato. That's Curato. That's it. A goodbye Twitter /X.
Yeah.
Never again. And I'm like not really doing anything else. I guess I technically am on Threads, but
have you liked it? I'm kind of
I don't really spend time. I mean, I'll just like spend a few minutes looking at some friends' stories, and that's kind of on Instagram, and that's kind of all I want to do on social media these days. Because I don't know, I just need to do other things. Yeah.
No, I feel the same way. I think their issue with Threads was they really push for brands to have a presence, and do you care if X brand has a stance on something? I'm like, I really. No. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I just want to see like my friends and people who inspire me. Like,
what are actual people up to?
Yeah. So I'm usually just on there like talking about book stuff. So
nice.
And art.
Yeah. And your book tour, where are you posting most of that update? Is it going to be on Instagram?
It will be on Instagram and probably on my website, which is mikecurato.com. And I'm going to be in New York for like a whole week. Big book release is at You'll Meet Books on June 3rd. Yay. And I'm going to be at the Museum of Chinese in America on the 5th. And then I'm going to be in LA, Long Beach, San Francisco, Berkeley, Seattle, DC, Boston, Providence.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I need to get to the West Coast.
Big concentration of Gaysians.
Like,
you got to represent.
Yeah, I'll definitely be posting stuff there and, other events to follow. Oh, I'm going to be at FlameCon this summer, which is fun. It's like a gay comic book festival in New York City every August.
Nice.
So if you like to nerd out like that, it's cute. Yeah, I enjoy it.
That's awesome. And for those listening, if you want to find out more, take a look at our show notes. And if you've enjoyed this podcast with Mike, leave us a rating and review. Tell us what your thoughts were. And definitely highly recommend checking out Gaysians when it is released later this year. And you'll definitely see me with my copy of it. I'm just so excited for Mike's upcoming book and just including us as a part of his story. If you want to follow us, you can check us out on social media at Yellow Glitter PD on social, and then check out our website for the rest of our show notes, transcripts, and everything else. With that, we are now wrapping up our episode. Just so grateful for Mike for stopping by again and for gracing us with his presence.
Oh, thank you. Anytime, Stephen. I love some yellow glitter. Make it sparkle.
Make it sparkle. Well, thank you so much for coming. And for listeners, thank you for listening and hope your day can be a bit more sparkly, glitzy, and glammy. Thank you.